dog.
Oh, Breaker's loose again. Breaker, spear! Breaker loose again. About cut Reigns in half.
For weeks, speculation has swirled about when Roman Reigns, the former undisputed WWE Universal Champion and self-proclaimed tribal chief, would resurface after his shocking absence from WWE television. Fans chanted his name, rumors filled social media, and rival superstars took advantage of his silence to claim the spotlight. But this week on Raw, the WWE Universe got its answer in thunderous fashion. Roman Reigns made his long-awaited return, and his target was not just one superstar, but two of the most dominant rising forces in WWE, Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker. The arena erupted in shock as Reigns stormed through the curtain. What followed was a brutal, calculated assault that reminded everyone exactly why Roman Reigns has been at the top of WWE for years. The chaos before the storm. The night began with a heated exchange between Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker, two superstars who have been carving their paths of destruction. Reed, nicknamed the Auxilla, has been a powerhouse competitor, crushing opponents with his sheer size and devastating tsunami splash. Meanwhile, Breakker, the explosive son of Rick Steiner, has been making waves since his transition from NXT to the main roster, showcasing freakish strength and intensity that have drawn comparisons to a young Goldberg. On Raw, both men found themselves in a verbal clash backstage after crossing paths earlier in the evening. Their egos collided, with Reed claiming he was the true monster of WWE and Breakker insisting that Raw was his yard now. The confrontation escalated into a brawl that spilled into the arena, forcing security and officials to separate them. The segment left fans buzzing until Roman Reigns' music hit. The Big Dog returns. The familiar notes of Roman's entrance theme blasted through the arena, and the crowd exploded into a mixture of cheers and gasps. Fans had been speculating about his return for months, but no one expected it to happen in this moment, with Reed and Breakker already in chaos. Dressed in his signature black tactical gear, Roman walked with calculated purpose down the ramp, his expression cold and unrelenting. This wasn't the Roman Reigns who smiled at the crowd or sought acknowledgement. This was the ruthless, dominant tribal chief who dismantled legends, conquered opponents, and ruled WWE for over 1,000 days. His aura alone shifted the entire atmosphere of the arena. Destruction in the ring. Roman didn't waste a second. Sliding into the ring, he immediately went after Bron Breakker with a thunderous Superman punch that sent the young powerhouse crashing to the mat. Before Breakker could recover, Roman turned his attention to Bronson Reed, who tried to stand his ground. The crowd roared as the two titans squared off, but Roman unleashed a barrage of heavy strikes that left Reed staggered. Then came the moment that defined the segment. Roman hoisted Reed up with shocking power and planted him with a devastating Samoan drop, shaking the ring. Breakker tried to fight back, showing his trademark explosiveness, but Roman countered with a brutal spear that cut him in half. The arena shook with the impact as fans leapt to their feet, chanting, "This is awesome!" For the first time in months, Roman Reigns stood tall in the middle of the ring, looking every bit like the tribal chief of old. Paul Heyman's presence in the shadows. What made the moment even more intriguing was the appearance of Paul Heyman at the top of the ramp. The wise man didn't enter the ring, but his presence was undeniable. With his hands folded and a sly smirk, Heyman watched as Roman dismantled Reed and Breakker. Was this a reunion of the Bloodline's mastermind and its leader, or was Heyman merely scouting Roman's intentions? The camera caught Heyman whispering something to himself before retreating backstage, leaving fans speculating whether this was a silent confirmation of their alliance or the beginning of a new, complex storyline. The message behind the assault. Roman's attack wasn't random. By targeting Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker, two of WWE's most physically dominant rising stars, Reigns sent a clear message to the locker room. No matter who steps up, no matter how strong or explosive, no one will replace him as the measuring stick of WWE. For Bronson Reed, the attack felt like a reality check. Despite his impressive run, his encounter with Roman highlighted that brute size alone isn't enough to dethrone the tribal chief. For Bron Breakker, the assault was symbolic. WWE had positioned him as the future of the business, but Roman's spear reminded everyone that the present still belongs to him. Fan reactions and online buzz social media immediately lit up following the segment. Fans were stunned by Roman's return and debated the implications of his actions. Some celebrated the return of dominance. Roman Reigns is back, and he just humbled two monsters in one night. This is why he's the GOAT. Bron Breakker had the spotlight, until the tribal chief reminded him who runs WWE. Others, however, expressed concern for Reed and Breakker, arguing that WWE sacrificed their momentum to make Roman look strong. One fan tweeted, "Reed and Breakker are the future. Roman burying them like this sends the wrong message." Regardless of the stance, one thing was clear. Roman's return was the most talked-about moment of the night. What this means for Raw. Roman's return dramatically reshapes the landscape of Raw. With Seth Rollins holding the World Heavyweight Championship, fans are already speculating whether Roman has his eyes on reclaiming gold. Could this confrontation set the stage for Roman to challenge Rollins? Or was this attack simply about re-establishing dominance before eyeing bigger prizes? Additionally, the involvement of Paul Heyman adds layers of intrigue. If Heyman is back at Roman's side, it raises questions about the status of the Bloodline. Is Roman preparing to rebuild his empire without the Usos? Could Bronson Reed, or even Bron Breakker, eventually be lured into his orbit, despite being attacked? The possibilities are endless. A statement of intent. What makes this return so powerful is its simplicity. Roman didn't cut a promo. He didn't explain himself. He let his fists and his dominance do the talking. By brutalizing two of Raw's strongest superstars, he reminded everyone that the tribal chief doesn't need words to reclaim his throne. It wasn't just a return, it was a warning. Conclusion: the tribal chief reclaims his yard. Roman Reigns' shocking return on WWE Raw was a reminder of why he has dominated the wrestling industry for years. By targeting Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker, he showed that the new wave of WWE superstars may be strong, but they still stand in his shadow. The attack was brutal, the message was clear, and the implications are massive. With Paul Heyman watching from the wings and Raw's roster on edge, the tribal chief has reasserted himself at the center of WWE's universe. For Reed and Breakker, this is just the beginning of a long fight. But for Roman Reigns, it was simply business as usual. A return marked not by words, but by absolute dominance.